Right, and we are going to talk about a theater in France that is actually
You made that sound so sinister. You leant in. We're going to talk about a theatre.
yeah, exactly, but it is a sinister
It is
topic,
actually
and it is
sinister.
actually quite funny. But as you mentioned, it's a microcosm of the West at the moment.
It certainly is, yes.
Exactly, and the point is that it shows when the left actually tastes its own medicine.
We are going to see some justice be dished out today, and it is beautiful.
Exactly. So your eyes have seen the glory of justice in this case.
For once in my life, yes.
Right. So before we tell you more about this French theater that is full of degeneracy and crime,
As usual.
and sex and well,
That's French theatre more generally.
yeah,
Sorry.
but they are protesting about it, so that's poetic justice, isn't it?
It is.
Right. But before we say more about this, we have Oil on the 3. We have we have this new issue of our magazine. Rory has done really good job. You see here, really nice picture. I really like the aesthetic, but also the thing is that Rory reinvented it because the third issue seems a bit different to the first two. I think that this shows really good energy and vigor and creativity. You can order it here. It's just £14.99. It's not even 15.
That's true.
Not even £15.
That is objectively correct. It's not £15. It is $14.99. And for that price, who can say no? And if you have dollars, we do accept those as well. In fact, we do international shipping. So, yeah, there's that.
Right. So the topic we're going to talk about is a topic that is an ongoing one. And Carl has made a video about it on the Daily Channel.
But that was a month ago before there were proper developments, let's say.
Exactly.
It was only in its budding stage, but the flower has come full bloom today.
Exactly. And he did this on the Daily Channel that we have set up. By all means, go and check it out. And it did really well. And it's called Africans Hijack a Leftist Theater.
Which is a pretty good description of what happened.
But I think there's a vampiric element into it because they were invited in.
Yeah, Africans only come in when invited.
Exactly. Yeah. So maybe they should throw garlic or holy water to dispel. Right. So here is the Legate lyric.
Legate à lyrique.
Please, could you do that again?
Legate à lyrique. I messed it up that time, actually. But I do actually speak a little bit of French, but I've got a sore throat at the minute, which is making it a lot more difficult.
Right, so here we have the history of this theater. It's quite historic, actually. It's from the 1860s.
Oh, wow. It's quite old then. Oh, it looks lovely from the outside.
Yeah, and actually it's one of the playhouses in that followed the modernization of Paris and the destruction of the theaters on the Boulevard du Temple. And they say that it was built on September the 3rd, 1862. So it's another era.
It's also a shame that it's gone the direction it has for such a beautiful historic building. But, sorry, do carry on.
Look at it. Look at all the culture oozing from this image.
They've made it look a little bit grim behind the bars and with the winter trees in front of it, but I'm sure it would look lovely if they actually took a decent picture.
When you look at it, what does it feel like it's inside? What are the images you conjure? Because
I think it's a place of... It's a cultural high watermark. It's a place of sophistication, of pushing the boundaries of the transcendence of humanity.
Exactly. I think I'd wear a tuxedo and go in and go watch a play or an opera like Tosca or Turandot. I think it's... But there are issues. The problem is that the gate is currently closed. Due to the occupation of the building and in the absence of solutions proposed by the competent authorities, the lyrical management is currently unable to maintain the conditions allowing I really can't pronounce this, of the public in its spaces. I think maybe they say the public going there on its spaces. Right. Mm-hmm. So, and the decision was made to keep the building closed. I like how you are highlighting it, Samson, as if that would help me. I just don't know the word. Right.
The problem is you can't see it. If he highlights it, you can pronounce it. That's the trick with French.
Aquail. Right, okay. Pardon my French.
didn't have a...
Pardon my French, Josh.
For once, it actually means that.
Yes. The decision was made to keep the building closed. Scheduled events are cancelled, postponed, or relocated. So look at the events here to get a sense of it. Here we have a debate about new images of masculinity. We have someone here who seems to be going to the gym and someone else here who seems to be pregnant. We have here...
pregnant with a beer belly, maybe. Hey, I can't throw stones.
There's also the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, though. Danny DeVito.
Oh, of course, yeah.
His body, his choice.
It's not a tumor. That one, yeah.
Right, so we have here, can finance come to the aid of our city center? My belly is a volcano. I think they really had bad food there.
I thought French food was meant to be good.
Volcanoes erupt, upwards. But stomachs sometimes can erupt downwards.
Where is this going?
I know, no, but actually, that's actually the question we need to be asking them, because you're a theater, you had events, none of these events are going to be staged. So what's going on? That's a major issue. What's going on here? Cancellation, maternity course, where's the care? Cancelled, heartbeat.
Why did they need a theatre to have a maternity course anyway?
No idea, Josh. No idea. But they seem to be having ongoing problems, and they say here why we must support Lyric Gate. More than 300 cultural, political, and civil society actors call on the public authority to save Lyric Gate by finding an urgent solution of rehousing for the 400 young people who occupy it. So
just young people. They're young people, are they? These young people.
Is it the theater YMCA? Young people come to associate. Right. So the point is, we have leftists are asking for a problem to be solved. Mm-hmm. The major question is, who caused the problem?
Leftists.
Exactly. They are the people who are the problem they want to be solved. Right. And they say here, we, cultural and civil society actors, actively support Lyric Gate. In a few years, the social and international cultural landscape has been disrupted. Major geopolitical threats have emerged. Territorial imperialism resurfaces. I mean,
authoritarianism.
They really need a mirror, basically.
You idiots, you invited in a bunch of Africans and now you're blaming imperialism and authoritarianism.
And territorial imperialism, because it is. That's what they're doing.
The bitter irony is that Africans are now taking over their territory. They've colonized
Exactly.
it.
And they say, no, it's our territory now.
Look at me. It's my theatre now. I don't know why I did it with an Arnie accent, Robert. It was meant to be a Somali pirate. Right. I've got a sore throat, okay, I'm allowed.
Right, the environmental issue is denied while everywhere social fragmentation, divisions, the confrontation of progressive, polarization, fruit of the omnipotence of shameless social networks, gangrene the public space. All of these are just fancy word of saying we effed up. We want some competent people to come up and solve the problem we created. This is this is poetic justice. This is all the left has ever been about.
It's nice to revel in some actual justice go on in Europe for once.
In this moment of change where democracy is wavering, where the law of the strongest imposes and seems to triumph, we cultural actors of the social and solidarity economy and civil society have the duty to respond.
What absurd nonsense.
To defend
talking about democracy. Your theatre's been taken over by a bunch of Africans. There's nothing to do with democracy about it.
Yeah, but Josh,
well, you're going to vote them out.
To defend shared values, a common vision, the ambition to meet and act collectively. Right, so let's see here some pictures. What happened was that there was an event at some point I think it was in early December 2024. There was an event that was staged to display solidarity for the refugees of the world in France. And what happened was that a lot of academics and social and cultural actors, as they are saying, were involved into that play, and they handed in 250 to 300 free tickets. If you see, the number constantly goes up, but this isn't precisely because they bring more and more people in. Mm-hmm. And when the event stopped, they gave 250 tickets for free to African migrants. And
often when a theatre gives away free tickets, it's because they're embarrassed about not having very many people turn up.
It's low attendance. They know it's going to be low attendance.
And so going to a bunch of African migrants that were vagrant on the street to get some people on the seats just to save face is kind of hilarious.
But also, what is actually hilarious is that they are putting up a fuss about it, and the African migrants just said, no, we're not leaving. And then they're making the leftists are making a sort of announcement about territorial imperialism.
I know.
On the main website.
It's almost like private property and, having borders and being able to defend them is important or something, isn't it? It's strange.
Yeah. So they basically just said, we don't want to leave. We're going to stay here.
My favorite thing about this article, by the way, is that this article from the New York Times is trying to argue they're trying to prove that they're just kids. It says more than 300 homeless African immigrants are camping out in the decay, waiting for officials to rule on whether they are minors and eligible for benefits like housing.
Yes, because apparently
look at all these children. These children here, they look like children. Oh, they're definitely children. No, they're not, obviously.
I think
economic chances.
They said that they did this because there is a law that says that adults who don't have shelter deserve shelter and must be given shelter. Not adults, minors.
Yeah, well,
that's why they tried to
the things that lefty lawyers put them onto, I imagine.
Yes, right. So what happened was that we had over these months several people. What
I would like to say is, look at that bongo playing. It's terrible. It might be a different kind of drum, but
this is from a month and a half back. They're basically saying we're not leaving, and
they're also not able to keep a simple rhythm. You got one job, Africans. I mean, you're known for being able to play the drums. What are you playing at? Clearly not instruments.
I don't know. Maybe I think they don't have the musical talent you may expect.
It's just hitting things at a regular interval. It's not hard.
Yes, and this is from December. They say, and we have essentially the same thing. They go out and they protest, and we have Riley saying, unaccompanied minors without papers have been occupying the gate lyric for over a week for rehousing. Tonight they're holding an open general assembly in front of the occupied building. I like how they call it General Assembly. Imagine they called it the National Assembly. No, we have the third or the fourth estate. Now we're going to call ourselves the National Assembly.
It's going to be another French Revolution.
Yeah. Well,
entirely African-led.
Yeah, well, it's going to be about the 537th French Revolution, post-1789. Right. Okay, and we have here, again, they just say things and just protest, but things have become worse. You can see here the images.
They're sleeping just in, like, the gallery parts, it looks like.
Yeah, I don't think Netanyahu and Trump were in that building, by the way.
I think that might have been an unrelated article.
That might have been an unrelated. So you see this. This is not how I pictured the theater.
No, me neither. It looks very modern on the inside.
Yeah.
Turns out less is lost than we thought.
But also more packed.
Mm-hmm. It's busier. It's got a bustling atmosphere. It feels very cultural. There's a lot of culture present there, isn't there?
Yes. And as you would have expected, Josh, what happens when you have a small place that is overcrowded and you have people forcibly occupying it, and their whole being there defies the law, and you don't have enough resources.
Do bad things happen, Stelios?
Yes, and not just bad things happen, worse things happen every now and then. So it has disintegrated. Who would have guessed? It's just 2 minutes before the Lord of the Flies scenario. It's really bad.
So they're refusing to leave, and there's a wave of sex-related violence. So, what is it? Nearly 500 Africans turn up in a place, and sex-related violence rockets.
And also drugs, also violence, and the staff of the theater are saying that we cannot function as security personnel because we're not security personnel, and we want the competent authorities to do something about it. But this is actually a really good analogy for what this is about, because it's a microcosm of the world that we are living in. It's a microcosm of the West at the moment.
I very much agree, and there was something on the next link, I think, that right towards the end, I couldn't find who originally said it, but it's an excellent summary of how it's the perfect symbol of the effect of immigration. Is it all right if I read some of this?
Yes, of course.
It says a theatre, which is collective equipment, result of centuries of cultural development, a completely left-wing programme, which represents cultural hegemony, universalism, out of touch, moralising humanism, 400 Africans who have turned up there, the Great Replacement, that symbolises, employees who welcome them in name of their values, Western naivety and suicidal empathy, and then there's an increase in violence, in brackets, savagery, and destruction of property through improper use, such as indoor fires, third worldisation. We see a lot of this, don't we, in a lot of European countries. Closure of the theatre, immigration which destroys pre-existing cultural habits, impoverishment of collective life, impossibility of perpetuating activities which require a certain social functioning, and the result is one less public facility, employees have left, withdrawal into the private and community sphere, and the disappearance of pre-existing populations.
And also the communication of the message that the law cannot be enforced.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, this is exactly perfect to communicate, as an example, the impact of mass immigration more generally, because what we actually see here is the fact that all of these principles that happened in the theatre are replicated perfectly in society. That a bunch of Africans turn up, doesn't have to be Africans, could be from other parts of the world that aren't Europe or North America or East Asia, basically anywhere where it's not a developed country. They turn up, they take over, they make things worse because the reason their countries are bad in the first place is because of the virtues of the people themselves. They bring those virtues or lack thereof to the country and make it like their home country. And that's what's happened here. You know, there's an increase in violence, there's destruction of property, they start lighting fires indoors because they don't know how to exist in civilization. Because what has happened is people who are incapable of existing in a modern society have been brought to one, and they just don't have the capability ever to learn how to exist to the same capacity as, say, a French person or a European more generally. And this is what happens. Everyone loses. You know, they're living like, you know, a modern day troglodyte, you know, living in their fancy French cave, lighting fires in there like a hunter-gatherer, and the French lose a significant cultural theatre, and, you know, trust is broken, society breaks down, and it's a chip in the sort of crack to the breakdown of civil society.
And I will add that it seems like they had already lost the theatre a long time ago at stage 2, the completely left-wing program.
Yes.
Exactly. So that's the Trojan horse.
I mean, it is sort of good that because it was used in such left-wing ways, I don't feel too bad about it disappearing. If it were a proper theatre that put on things of cultural import, then I would be a bit more angry about this. But because it sort of a taste of their own medicine, there's a beautiful irony to it that, allows you to revel in the suffering of those who brought it upon themselves.
Exactly, but there is a tragedy there that although on the individual level it is an issue of poetic justice, it unfortunately has lots of social ramifications.
Of course.
And a lot of people are the collateral damage here. Mm-hmm. So whatever we say about poetic justice when it comes to people who do this, be it in a house, in a neighborhood, at a theater, or at a country at large, it has real life consequences, and it's really bad.